Ah, serial killers. We know them, we hate them, and some of us love them a little bit too much and send them fan mail when they're in jail. I feel like we all kind of know that one person who is a serial killer in the making, whether they're gonna go to school the next day and shoot up the place and kill 30 people, or they're just gonna start beheading prostitutes in their basement. There's always that one guy that you feel like he could snap at any moment. You're not sure when it's gonna be, but you think it's gonna be soon. Today we're gonna be looking at some prolific serial killers and, ranking them in a tier list, which some people might find insensitive, but I think that it's just a very introspective look on humanity and our goodness and our badness. And I don't know how to justify this. Let's just do the goddamn tier list. All right, so we're starting off strong here with the Stone Man, represented by this stone here. Now, the reason that I actually don't have a picture of him is because this individual was never caught. He was a serial killer that killed multiple people in India. And the reason that I have him on this list is because of the way that he killed people. He just walked up to them while they were sleeping, in their house, and he just took a giant stone and he just dropped it on their head, crushing their skulls and killing them. And you know what? I think that that's a pretty imaginative and creative way to be a serial killer. And for that reason, I think I'm going to have to put him on the A list. Also, he did kill about like 25 plus people, which is pretty impressive. So I think I'll throw him at like an A there. Next, we have Jack the Ripper, a person whose identity is also not known, just like the Stone Man. He's actually rather unimpressive. He only killed 5 people and they were sex workers, which is kind of lame. I mean, go for some like harder bait. I mean, sex workers are practically just asking to get fucking serial murdered. But 5 people. He was one of the early serial killers, and you have to give him props for becoming such a huge pop icon. So just for that, oh, you know what else? He also wrote letters like mocking the police and stuff, which I think is kind of funny. So I think I'll honestly, just because of that, he'll be a B. Jack the Ripper's a B for me. Right here we've got Louis Garavito. Louis Garavito had over 300 victims. He was in South America. It was mostly young boys that he tortured and raped. That's an impressive number. 300 people is a lot. I'm gonna have to, honestly, I think that was like number 1 on the Wikipedia list. He was like number 1 with the most kills. And that's just downright impressive. Though they were all young boys, which again, about the whole game thing. Like if you're killing like 25-year-old men, that's pretty impressive. I mean, you gotta get those motherfuckers into a car. You gotta drive them somewhere. You gotta keep them like strapped to a table. Like 25-year-old men, pretty strong. You could probably get out. Kids, not so much. It's easier, but the number is impressive, so I'm gonna throw him at like an S tier. This is so fucked, dude. Jesus Christ, what is wrong with me? And next, of course, we have old Ted Bundy. Ted Bundy is pretty well known, and he does have a pretty impressive kill count of like somewhere between 36 to 100 people. That's a lot of people. I mean, that's quite a few people. And he's pretty goddamn famous. He got that show with, whoever the fuck that guy is played him. I have to put him in A tier because it's his kill count isn't as impressive as this other guy, Luis Garavito, but it's still, he's pretty famous, so that's pretty, good job, good job on him. Next we have good old John Wayne Gacy, also known as the Killer Clown, because he was also a clown in his free time. I mean, that's just what he would do. He would just dress up as a clown, and he would go to like children's parties, and he'd entertain kids, and that's pretty respectable. But in his other off time, he killed 33 teenage boys and tortured them, I'm pretty sure. 33 is a pretty good number. That's more than the confirmed on Ted Bundy, I'm pretty sure. No, it's less, but overall, I like the mystique of the clown stuff. I think that's pretty impressive, so we'll throw him into A tier. And next we have good old Jeffrey Dahmer, who he only killed like 17 confirmed. He has like 17 confirmed, deaths that he caused particularly. But what's quite impressive, though, is that he actually had a whole vat of acid inside of his house to melt the bodies afterwards. But he mostly killed young black men, so he's kind of a racist. So that's where I draw the line at racism. This guy is fucking crazy. Harold Shipman, also known as Dr. Death, he killed like 250 elderly patients who were under his care, and he did this for like over 2 decades, like a good 2.5 decades before he ended up getting caught. And this motherfucker was bold. I mean, he was killing these fuckers during the day. He was sending them all off to the morgue or anything. He wasn't just trying to hide it. The reason that they got suspicious of him is because they're like, it's a lot of death certificates coming from good old Harold Shipman. So he was a bit sloppy. He got caught, and then he killed himself, I'm pretty sure, which, kind of a coward's way out. So just for that, I think I'll throw... No, you know what? For the kill count, that's pretty impressive. I'll throw him into a B tier. Now, here we've got H.H. Holmes. Now, I feel like a lot of people haven't heard of H.H. Holmes unless you're involved in the serial killer community like I am. I'm very deeply invested in this. Now, H.H. Holmes is really impressive because this dude built a whole-ass hotel. A whole-ass hotel. Tricked it out, and he would just had like all these private like little labyrinth kind of cave maze shit going on inside of it, so that he could just go around, like pop through a wall and grab somebody and kill them or whatever, and is pretty impressive. I have to throw that into an S tier just for the imaginative aspect of it. Now, Pedro Lopez is a pretty interesting one because he's another South American killer, just like Luis Garavito. But the difference is here is that Pedro Lopez, he killed like 300 people, about the same amount as Luis Garavito. He went to prison. He was caught. And then they released him in 1998 after less than 20 years in prison for good behavior. Yeah, he killed 300 people, and they released him after less than 20 years for good behavior. And that's just goddamn impressive. I mean, that kill count and the fact that he got released from prison. And he's probably still out there alive to this day. I mean, that's insane. That's an S tier. Hear my family outside of my room. They're probably like, is he actually talking about serial killers right now? Jesus Christ. And finally on our list, we have good old Ed Gein. Now, Ed Gein is pretty interesting because he actually inspired the movie Psycho, Silence of the Lambs, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That's how fucked this guy was in the head. Now, what's so interesting is that he only actually killed like 2 people, right? But he exhumed a lot of bodies and took them out of graves. And he would remove the flesh from the bodies, and he would use it to decorate his house. I mean, he would make furniture out of it. When they found him, when they went into his house, they found human faces hanging as ornaments on the wall. They found furniture that had been fashioned out of human flesh. And worst of all, they found a mannequin. They found a mannequin that was slowly being covered in human flesh because good old Eddie here was trying to make his dead mother out of human flesh and essentially bring her back to life that way. But, he only got like 2 kills, which is wildly unimpressive, so I'm going to throw him into like C tier. Anyways, what do you guys think? Do you think that my tier list is correct here? Would you guys have done the same? What changes would you make to my serial killer tier list? Anyway, I'll see you guys next time.